Hi everyone, this is Val from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another sparkling beading video. But before I get started, here's a quick reminder to check out our channel, and if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and notification bell to be notified every time we have a new listing. Our project today is a Beach Dunes choker, and it comes from our Beach Dunes collection. So what we're featuring in this really is some beautiful combinations paired with our microfaceted gemstone bead, and I really love these beads. I made this one from the vintage pink, and it's just so cute and pretty mixed with this pink opal gemstone bead. And you can also make it with the green gemstone beads and the blue, and the list goes on and on. I just love them. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Now the fun thing about this is I want to point out to you ahead of time is not only is it a choker where it's a double layered choker, it can be dubbed as a one long necklace. Just really long, so you can just wear it with anything. It's very pretty elegant, or you can use it as a bracelet and just wrap it around your wrist about 5 times, and it just becomes a really cool bracelet. So you can make many of them, or you can just make one of them and wear it 3 different ways, which I especially love. So I'm going to show you what the products we're using today. So we're going to be using these bugle beads, 11 seed beads in silver lined. We have a mix of 3mm crystal bicones, some microfaceted gemstone beads. We have these cute little shell charms. Not in our collection, but I'm using today are some 15O gold seed beads. You'll also be needing a magnet clasp, some jump rings, a beading needle, some fire line. You'll be needing some round nose and flat nose pliers and a scissors. I started off with about 55 inches long of fire line, and I wrapped it a couple times around my magnet clasp end and tied it into a double knot and just pulled really tight. Then I also pre-strung my needle, and I put out a sprinkling of all the different beads I'm going to be using. What I like to do when I first start off is I like to start off always with about 3 of the 11 seed beads. I just kind of like how it fits right against my wrist along with the magnet clasp. And then from here I'm going to start my pattern. So I am going to, from here, I want to start adding some crystal to it. And every time I use a crystal, I like to use a metallic bead next to it. So if I'm using a 3mm crystal, I want to use a 15O. If I use a 4mm, I can either use a 15O or 11O seed bead, either way. And then so from here, I'm going to start playing around with my pattern, and I like this bugle bead. So I'm going to do 2 bugle beads, and then 1 15O, and then 2 bugle beads. So see how it's starting to create its own little pattern of combination. So once I've gotten that section done, then I'm going to do another set of crystals. So I'm going to do seed bead. And then I have this really nice mix of crystals. So it's just a combination of crystal mixes, mixed colors of crystal. And so I'm just going to play around with it and just use them at random. So I did my 15Os metallics on this onto side of the crystal. And I'm going to start my pattern with my bugle beads. So I'm just going to push down my beads. And then now I will start with, let's see, so in between my bugles, I like to put my 15O. And then now I'm going to end with my 11O seed beads all over again. So let's see. Come on, there we go. So now if you take a look, I have one complete pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create this pattern repetitively for about maybe 15 inches, and then I'll be back. So we completed the same pattern we've been doing all along. Now I'm going to change up the pattern a little bit. So I'm ending up with this section of bugle beads here, and I'm going to add in now an 11O seed bead, the 15O metallic, and then we're going to add in something different. We're going to string up now these quartz crystal beads, and these are really pretty. So I'm going to string up 5 of them. The easiest way to do it is to keep it on the string, and then just with your needle grab 5 of them and then pull away from your thread and you have it right there on there. So it's pretty easy. So I'm going to cap it the same way I started off that section. So it looks just like this. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to continue this look. So I have, let's see, I'm going to start now by adding in bugles again. So it looks just like this here. I'm going to do the 5 again. So pick up your 5. Pull it off the line. And then we're going to cap it again with our metallic and our 111 seed bead. So basically this is your next section. So it's going to look like this, your next section. So just complete this pattern for up to you. You can either go the rest of the way of your bracelet, or you can do several, just maybe up to 6 inches or 10 inches of this line. So I'm going to start on this next section, and I will catch up with you in a little bit. So for our next section, we ended up here with our bugle beads, and now I want to start adding more of our quartz crystal. I want to highlight that section now. So I'm going to start with a 11-0 and then a 15-0, and then I'm going to pull off 5 of our quartz at a time. So you have it right here. And now we're going to end up with a 15-0 metallic and an 11-0 seed bead. So now this is kind of like one section. And then from here, I want to do my bugle beads again. So I'm going to string up 2 bugle beads just to kind of break up the amount of crystal quartz. And then I'm going to repeat again. Okay, so this is really one complete section here. So I'm going to continue this. So I finished up my pattern. I ended up with the last of my 5 quartz crystal sections. Now I want to add in 3 11-0 seed beads for the end. So I'm going to begin and end the same way. So my 3, and then I'm going to attach it to a magnet clasp. So I'm going to attach it to the other opposite end. I separated it because I just think it's easier to add my clasp in if I separate them. And then I'm just going to string back around the clasp one more time just to make sure my thread is tight. And at this time, before I completely knot it, I just want to make sure I don't have any loose ends, little loose threads in my sections. So it looks like it's good. So now I'm just going to tie this into a knot. And then with my needle, I'm just going to sew back through some of the beads. I usually go down a couple of inches just to make sure that none of the threads try to escape. Okay, so now I can just cut off that excess. And then on the opposite side, we're going to do the same thing. So now I'm going to add these really cute shell charms to my necklace. So I'm just going to get a jump ring, and you want to use kind of a heavy duty jump ring, nothing too lightweight because you don't want it to just fall off. So I'm just going to add on my large shell charm first and just place it anywhere you want on your necklace. If you want it to be in a specific place, then you would use a smaller jump ring that would just fit between the charm link and your necklace. But I want my charms to just be able to flow and move wherever it wants to go. So I can just put it anywhere. So now I'm just going to put in my second one and just close that. Just make sure it's nice and closed tight, no gaps between. Okay, so from right here, you can just wrap it around your neck, and here you go. You have a double choker. And like I mentioned earlier, it could be a bracelet, it can be a single long strand necklace, which makes it really fun. If in the event that it's a little bit long for you as a bracelet, one fun thing that I learned by accident is you can just slip this over, and as long as you find kind of a flexible place in your bracelet or your choker, you can just tie a very loose knot so that you don't ruin your design, and it actually shortens your bracelet or your length of your design by maybe at least a ½ inch or more. So that's kind of a cute little design, but yet it's effective and it serves its purpose. So when you wear it, it just looks like this. See where my little knot? And that could end up anywhere on your bracelet. Because it's a free flowing charms, as you're wearing it, they'll just kind of move along as you move along. And I think that's kind of fun. And that's the beauty of this bracelet. It's very boho, very relaxed of a piece of jewelry. So I'm going to show you another variation using these coral beads. I think it just adds a nice texture and a different variation just for fun. That way you can use a different idea. So now I'm at this amount of beads right here. So from here, I'm going to add now on 11O gold. And here's where we start adding our branches. Now, if you take a look at them, they're all going to be a little bit different. Some are short, some are pokey, some are really long. You can really just use any of them. What I do is I want to grab about maybe 5 to 6 of them. So I'm just going to start grabbing any random piece. Some can be long, short. See, so far, this is what I chose. Yeah, 5 looks like about a good amount. So you see how they just look all just kind of stacked just like this. But when you wear it or move it, they're always going to just kind of move all around. So it's going to be very random. But that's kind of the beauty of this whole thing. And then I'm going to end it with an 11O again. And then I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to add some bugle beads again. So now you see where it is. Just like this. So now I'm going to continue adding in the bicone section and then just keep continuing on this path for probably about 5 sections of these coral branches. So I have now done 5 sections of this coral beads mixed in with my bugle beads for my first section of my bracelet. And you notice how the coral is all a little different. There's different shapes to it, different sizes. And that's what I like. I like that it's organic and freeform, and really no 2 bracelets will be exactly alike. And that's kind of fun for me. So now it looks like this. And I'm just going to add some bugle beads. And then go back to the quartz crystals. So basically it's going to look like this. I'm going to continue this until the end of my line, just so that I can wrap around my beads around my wrist, probably at least 2 times around. And then I want to make sure that I have about 3 inches of a tail left over to end my line properly. And I'll be back. So here is the finished part. I finished stringing up the rest of my beads, and then I just added my magnet clasp and tied my strings to the magnet clasp like I did in the previous bracelet. Thanks for joining us for our Beach Dunes choker and bracelet tutorial. Like always, the supplies we used for this tutorial can be found on the comment section below, and all supplies and more can be found on EurekaCrystalBeads.com. Thanks for joining us.